Hey, good evening. My name is Brandon, and tonight we're gonna make some pickles. So what I've got here is some little pickles from Costco, no big deal. Some pickling spice, kind of same deal. I've been brewing beer, wines, meads, ciders for a few years now. Got a few dozen under my belt, and but I've never tried pickling, at least the fermented kind. So I've got everything here in front of me. I've got this 2-quart fermenting jar. I've got a 1 gallon kind of fermenting vessel I'm just going to use to make up my brine. I've got some sanitizer here. Everything's already sanitized as it is. I've got a scale over here. I'm going to tear that out, get my salt up, get the water in there to make the brine, and we'll go from there. So first things first, these are going to be fermented. So that means natural yeasts are going to convert some sugars into alcohols. Some natural bacterias are going to convert some of those alcohols into acetic acid, vinegar. So they are going to be slightly acidic. The alcohol should all, be eaten up to turn into that vinegar. This is kind of similar. How do you make any sort of fermented beverage, and or how you make a kombucha, where there's acetobacter or some other microbe that's converting those alcohols into acid. So for this, we're going to aim for around between 4 and 4.5% salt solution, and the salt is there to, one, kind of prevent some harmful microbial action, different bacteria from setting in and making it all nasty and possibly toxic. Two, I mean, it does taste good. It is also a preserving method to salt something. Again, these aren't going to be just brined like standard pickles you might get in the grocery store, which is just a 5% vinegar solution. This is actually going to be much lower in overall acid concentration. So for that, I'm just going to make up a big batch of brine here. This is a 1 gallon vessel. Get some regular bottled purified water. I'm using a slotted spatula only because I feel that lets the liquid move around more than a standard spoon would. So I'm just going to get my 1 gallon in here, roughly. Sorry, it's 1 gallon vessel. I'm only going to put 2 quarts in, just enough for me to use. And again, this is a 2-quart vessel, so I won't actually be using 2 quarts of liquid because the cucumbers themselves are going to be taking up a lot of room. I'm just getting the 2 quarts in here now. I'll get rid of that sound in editing. First time making a video to publish to anybody, so that's how things go. Okay, so for this, I have 2 quarts of water in here right now, and per quart of water, we want comes out to be about 21 grams of salt. Right now, I just have some non-iodized, just kosher salt. So since we're going with 2 quarts, I'm making a big batch of brine that's not going to fit in here, but that doesn't matter. The brine needs to be at about 4 to 4.5%. We'll go to about 4.25%, right in the middle line. So about 21 grams of salt per quart. We have 2 quarts. So let me tear this out. And we're going to get about 42 grams, therefore, of kosher salt. Got my scale over here. I'm going to add in. Okay. Currently, I have 49 grams in there. Since everything in here is sanitized, I'm going to go ahead and move some of these items out because I poured a little too much in. Got a little overzealous. I'm going to set up my airlock in here. I'll fill that up with a mixture of water and sanitizer I have right here. But let me get that out of the way for now. And I will use this to get rid of some of this excess salt. I want 42 grams. I have 48. So let me bring that down to about 42 where it belongs. Very graceful, as you can see. 42.1. I'm satisfied with that. So, got my 42 grams of salt right here, 0.1. I'm going to add that in. Just mixing to dissolve this. Now, I do have some pickling spice here. Kind of a cheat, a shortcut. I do have a lot of fresh herbs in my garden that I work with at school, so I will be using those in the future, but for this very first video, let's go ahead and cheat a little bit, make it a little easier on ourselves. I have no idea how much to use. There is cinnamon, coriander seed, mustard seed, allspice, bay leaves, ginger, dill seeds, cloves, red pepper, black pepper. It's a heck of a mix. I'm gonna just put on the large holes in here. I don't really want a lot of cinnamon in this, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I cook a lot. I have a pretty good idea of how much I would use if I wanted some pretty good flavor. That's going to sound terrible on the mic, I know it. I actually bought this to make some pastrami with, and that was actually a huge success. So I do know I like the flavor, but I don't really want cinnamon in this. All right, that's pretty much dissolved in there. Now for the pickles, the cucumbers themselves. I've read that the pickles have an enzyme on the end where the blossom is, where the flower is, which would be this end right here. There's an enzyme on here which can make the pickles kind of soften up and ripen. I'm not 100% on that. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I kind of want these cucumbers as like kind of baby pickles. So I'm just going to throw them all in there, just whole. And I'm going to try to stack these as best as possible. My hands are clean. They were fully washed. The only thing I've done so far is what you've seen on camera. And otherwise, they were just freshly washed and sanitized. Anyway, I'm going to try to make a nice standing vertical arrangement of these pickles. But if that doesn't cooperate, if that doesn't work out, that's fine. I'm not too worried about it. They will turn out the way they will turn out, whether I like it or not. All these did get a good rinse beforehand, so hopefully if there's any kind of natural yeast or microbes on the outside of that, they've been kind of washed away. But I didn't run them through the sanitizer, which is Star San, by the way. I use that for all of the brews that I make. Currently, I have 2 hard lemonades going and a blueberry lavender mead. Those lavenders, depending on their success, not the lavenders, the lemonades, depending on their success, will actually be turned into a shandy once I determine if they're really kind of worth it or not. Ideally, it should be vertical, at least according to all the YouTube videos I've watched on this. I don't know. I'm not an expert. My grandparents jarred everything out, canned. They canned everything. They lived in northern Alabama. They passed away, unfortunately. And boy, I remember as a kid, they just had just shelves. Their pantry was just hundreds and hundreds of jars with all the canned goods. I mean, it was green beans, tomatoes, potatoes, butter beans, squash, even meats, tomato soups, beef. It was everything. It was everything. And I kind of miss that. And I'm trying to get back into that myself. All right, enough gabbing on that. Let's get this brine in there. It's nice and mixed, totally clear, as you can see. I'm going to top it off. Didn't really think, but a lot of the pickling spices are just kind of, some of them have sank down. Some of them are kind of buoyant. They're not really going to the top. So I'll add a couple shakes into here. I don't know how much headspace is really appropriate for this. Headspace being the open air pocket between the liquid layer and the lid. For brewing, you don't want a whole lot. You want enough to where it doesn't overflow, but you don't want a whole lot, too much where you encourage microbial growth that you don't want, such as mold. That looks pretty good, but again, I didn't get a lot of pickling spice in there, so I'm actually going to just shake onto here. That should be pretty good. Now, I have here a weight. This is a glass weight. This will sit down and kind of help push those cucumbers down to make sure they don't get up into the surface. And this just helps make sure that there is a constant submersion of what we want to be pickled that's not being exposed to the air. Again, we don't want unfriendly microbes growing inside of there. That's pretty much it. Nothing spectacular here. I actually picked these up off the big box store on the internet, and they were pretty cheap. Um, I want to say it was a 2-pack for around 20 and change, something like that. A little sanitizer in here. I'll just top it off with water. I'm not really too concerned about having that filled fully with sanitizer. I don't know if I mentioned or not, the purpose of an airlock is so during fermentation, especially the alcohol fermentation, um, yeast are the natural yeast that are kind of in here already. They are kind of on the surface of cucumbers. They're going to convert some of the sugars that are naturally present into alcohol, not a whole lot, um, into from there um, lactobacillus, so some sort of bacteria. For making vinegar, which I do fairly often, I use acetobacter, which that's a whole video series on its own. That converts the sugars. Excuse me, the yeast converts sugars to alcohol. The bacteria convert the alcohol into vinegar. Something very similar is going to happen with this. Lactic acid is also commonly used, so lactobacters. Yeah, I don't know their genus. I'm not a bacteriologist. But we're going to check on this every few days. This nice, pretty green color in the cucumbers will slowly change to like more of an olive drab, the typical pickle color you see. I'm sure there are additives and methods you could use to preserve that. I've seen pickles that were vibrant emerald green. I don't know. This is the first time. This is kind of a fun video just to film. Get used to being in front of a camera because there's a lot of projects I have coming on the way. But we'll check back in on this and we'll see where it goes. We'll see how it goes. Every day I'm going to check up, probably make some YouTube shorts or whatever, throw those up there just to check on the progress. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.